basically only about me.
I want to talk to the astronauts on the space station. How cool could that be? That's the top of the game.
Each year we call up the International Space Station and we give these young kids the opportunity to ask questions to the astronaut.
Is it true that it
The ultrasound images are transmitted in real time to a doctor back on Earth, who can make medical decisions without actually being aboard the station. These same techniques have been adapted for use with portable ultrasound devices in communities where expert medical care is not always available.
Bom, meu nome é Joaquim Edebilson Diniz.
My name is Joaquim Diniz. I'm a doctor in the town of Manga.
Manga, a gente vive uma
In Manga, people live with a particularity, and that is isolation.
Nós temos uma barreira geográfica que é o Rio São Francisco.
We have a geographical barrier that is the São Francisco River, which is both a blessing for the region, but it also isolates us.
Direita do Rio São Francisco. Nós vivemos numa região em que os
We live in a region where financial resources are few. People do not have a lot of work, but they are honest, good people who do not have much opportunity. So there are many needy people who need these resources and rely only on this institution to provide assistance.
E uma tecnologia dessa que vem.
This is a technology that helps us solve many problems.
Que teve caso de uma paciente que estava com insuficiência respiratória grave.
That was the case of a patient who came to the hospital with severe respiratory failure, and the people realized she would die in just 20 to 30 minutes. We talked with Dr. Parzelli, who was training us to use the ultrasound. He came and applied the ultrasound and discovered large amounts of fluid around her lungs and heart. We performed the procedure and drained a lot of fluids. In 10 minutes, the woman immediately experienced an improvement and in half an hour was already walking. It was like a miracle, a rise and walk. She was dying in front of us without people knowing what was happening. This ultrasound was instrumental in saving the life of that patient.
We've only begun to see the International Space Station's benefits to humanity. These are just a few of the ways that the science and research conducted aboard the ISS is improving lives today. There are countless more benefits to come, sometimes in ways that we have never predicted. Every day, hundreds of scientists around the world are working with the crews on board the International Space Station to perform life-changing research. Every day, They use the weightless environment of space to conduct experiments in ways that can't be done here on Earth. And every day, those experiments improve life for people all over the world. This will be the legacy of the International Space Station's benefits for humanity.
From space, we see deep into the heart and veins of our ever-changing planet. Pictures of Earth are worth more than 1,000 words. They are the blueprint for our future. To unlock the full potential of space's unique vantage point, we've created powerful tools. Tools that gather valuable data. Data that enables farmers to efficiently manage water and fertilizer for stronger food yields. Data that scientists use to monitor ticks and mosquitoes that carry harmful diseases. Data that first responders use to find the fastest routes to save lives. That's only a glimpse of what we can do today. In the future, when combined with AI and powerful computing, a broader range of space data would generate infinite solutions for Canadians. Imagine a future where we can use space data to better understand and predict the impacts of climate change, like rising sea levels, extreme weather, wildfire risk, and flooding. Measure the health of our forests and create predictive maps of pest damage and burn extent. Produce real-time dynamic navigation routes to protect whales and other endangered species. Ensure security and sovereignty in Canada's vast Arctic. Tomorrow's challenges require investing in innovative solutions today. Earth observation is key to securing economic opportunities and improving the lives of Canadians. Together, we can define Canada's future.
How is the quality of the TV?
Oh, it's beautiful, Mike. It really is.
I'm in first grade and I'm watching Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin dancing around like every other kid who's out there watching this. They want to go do this. This is the coolest thing ever. And I remember asking my dad, what kind of job do I need to have growing up that I can make enough money that I can go fly to the moon? And he goes, well, there's a job out there called being an astronaut. And if you are that, they will pay you to go to the moon. They're going to pay me to go to the moon. Yeah, that's it. I've made my career decision. I'm going to go be an astronaut. I did not think the experience of spaceflight would change me. And I hear about these people going having this overview effect, and they come back and what am I going to go experience out there that's going to change who I am? But it made me think about a lot of things. And so for the first part, we all had that part where you're seeing the Earth and you see yourself next to the Earth and you feel very tiny next to the Earth. Then you turn the other way and the Earth seems very tiny compared to the cosmos out there. And so you feel like you're 2 orders of magnitude down in terms of the size of things out there. All of life, all of the history of life, all of your life and everybody you know is in this little tiny membrane of air that sits on top of this planet. And beyond that membrane of air is this abyss of space. It's just, there's nothing life-giving about it. And that's it. That's all that separates you. And it makes you feel like we're in a very tiny spot out here. As big as the Earth seems, it seems suddenly very, very finite. One of the things that got me one day, we had some time off, and I wanted to go get some pictures of items that I'd flown up for other people out there. And so I'd get out there and I crank open all the different panels on the cupola window, and just by dumb luck, we were flying down the spine of New Zealand. So you've got this emerald green island with all the mountains, and you've got the ocean out there as the backdrop for all these photos. And it almost made me forget to take the pictures because I was too busy gawking at New Zealand out of the cupola as we went over it. Going on my very first spacewalk, I looked down, and that was my first mistake because this was the Amazon rainforest beneath me. It's February, I guess it's summertime in the southern hemisphere, so I could see all the way down my very first spacewalk, the river itself. I looked down at the dark green lush jungles, the brown river, and that was my first mistake because this was the Amazon rainforest beneath going out into the Atlantic Ocean. It's February, and I could see the gray and snow-capped peaks of the Andes Mountains all out to the west. And so despite my best intentions, green lush jungles, saying the brown river and all the estuaries flowing into it, I can see this muddy delta going out into the Atlantic Ocean, and I can see the gray and snow-capped peaks of the Andes Mountains all out to the west. Steve, he just sat there and said, just take your time and take the scene, and you will never see something like this again, ever, so you might as well get the experience now. My advice for humanity is, this is a great place to start, but don't stick around here very long. We have opportunities out there. I forget who it was who said, if humankind was meant to explore the universe, God would have given us a moon. We need to take advantage of that, use that as a leaping pad to get off into other places. Someday we're going to need to be from space and not going out there, simply going into it.
Hi, I'm Dr. E. Ellen Stofan, and Dr. Z, Dr. Thomas Zurbuchen, and I would like to answer some of your questions. We got a question, which I think you and I only have one answer to. It says, what should I study in the field of space science, and why should you study it? And you and I have different reasons, so I'm curious to hear yours.
So first of all, should you study space science? Absolutely. It's a great subject area, and there's many different ways you can get into it. I actually believe the two of us have a different degree. I is a PhD in astrophysics. There's others that I know that went through engineering and so forth. And for me, what's really interesting is as we build teams, these resilient teams that make these missions happen, it takes many of us with different backgrounds coming in and study whatever it is that you're most excited about. For me, that was astrophysics, and I'm really glad I did that. I focused on the sun, but you studied something else, right?
Yeah, I studied planetary geology, and this question was one of the reasons I wore my Cassini-Huygens shirt today. I worked on the Cassini mission looking at one of Saturn's moons called Titan, and we had people who were geologists, people who studied the atmospheres. We had people who studied the rings of Saturn. We had people looking at the solar wind out in the vicinity. So you had all these people from all these different disciplines, and we were all space scientists and all working together to really try to understand Saturn and its crazy system of moons. So to me, it's the best field because it's fun. There's so much to figure out. And with data coming in from new telescopes like James Webb, we're never going to be short of puzzles for people to be working on.
So I want to ask one more question. I'm really curious about the answer, and it's really about you personally. What obstacles did you encounter as a woman in your career as a scientist, as an administrator first at NASA, now at the Smithsonian, and especially as a little girl curious about science? How did you overcome it, and who helped you along the way?
Well, I look back to my own personal experience and say, well, how did I as a young girl get involved when so few girls did? One of the things I really think about the fact is I had parents who hugely supported me. I had teachers who hugely supported me. And it wasn't till later in my career where I encountered obstacles and a lot of men who clearly thought I really didn't belong in the room. I got called little girl after I'd had a child by someone who actually worked for me. I did eventually encounter that kind of treatment, but by the time I did, I was a lot further on in my career. So I really think about how can we better support kids who may not have that support network of teachers. and parents, how do we, as the science community, really reach out to kids and say, you know, science is a great field. The other thing I really think about, and it's something I work on a lot at the Air and Space Museum, is when I was a kid, I looked for women role models. I looked for, oh, were there women out there in science doing cool things? And I'd find biographies of Marie Curie, and that was about it. And I loved reading stories about Mary Leakey discovering the origins of life off in Africa. So I really looked for those women role models, and they were so hard to find. So as we read